Well, hello, friends. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally does not work. All right, I'm going to try and change some things up a little bit because of comments that I get, because I do try and pay attention to what you guys say. Somebody had said about one of my videos that, that's 4 minutes of my life I'll never get back because you don't get to the football talk immediately. You know, I'm old, and I'm not in a hurry in life. So I have a tendency to, relate things that happen in the world and put it towards football. So I'm going to try and not be so long-winded. I read, and stay tuned. If you're one of those ones that enjoy my storytelling, stay tuned until after I talk about Zeke Elliott, so that way you can get the other part of it, okay? Interesting piece I saw, Adam Stein, talking about, the Dallas Cowboys. He seems to be kind of on board with the Cowboys. A couple of weeks ago, he had one talking about Dak Prescott and the offense, really being able to turn it around, unlike, the ESPNs that basically say the Cowboys are ass and they're going to suck and this, that, and the other. Adam Stein was saying that he thinks that Zeke Elliott could bounce back and end up winning the rushing title. And I know a lot of you are going like, yeah, get the F out of here, man. There's guys like Derrick Henry and Dalvin Cook out there. Zeke is done. Well, let's think about this for a second here. And I tell you how Zeke Elliott gets the rushing championship. We look at Zeke last year, 957 yards, and you say, he's done, man. Well, this is in part the problem with a lot of people's perception of football, where we look at a guy and say it's all on that guy to produce, and they don't look at the mitigating factors that are around him. Can you hear the cicadas? Probably sounds like a hum. It's driving me crazy. I was just at my mother's house, and they're really bad at her house. I hope they don't get that bad here, but man, they're flying. You're like, they're in my hair. So far, they're around. I see a few of them, but they're not quite that bad yet. But they're getting there. It's getting louder as the days get warmer. But in the same way, people will say, well, Dak Prescott, in his last games has lost, blah, 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 blah. But they don't look at it and say, we had the 29th rated offensive line. We don't look at that. They don't look at it and say you had the 28th ranked defense that was giving up when he was playing 36 points. They only point to one guy and say it's his fault. So when you look at the Cowboys offense without Dak Prescott, they were ranked number one when they had Dak Prescott because they were lighting the ball up and Zeke wasn't having, great games per se. And the offensive line was in shambles. Once you lost Dak, and you didn't have an offensive line, and you don't have a quarterback that teams feared, you worried about stopping the running game. Seriously. And that's one of the mitigating factors right there, is the offensive line wasn't there, and you didn't have a credible threat with quarterback. And I know what you're thinking. Well, the Cowboys, with all the offensive weapons, they're going to be airmailing it. They're going to be throwing the ball all over the place, which is probably true. It will be a quick strike offense. And you'll say, yeah, but that ends up being quick strike offense. You're not going to be running the ball as much, which is probably a good hypothesis. But here's the way I look at it. For Zeke Elliott to get that rushing title, I think it's going to actually predicate more on what the defense does. Because here's the thing. I look at the Cowboys to use those offensive weapons. I look for them to throw the football a whole lot. And if that becomes the case, you could end up scoring real quick early. If the defense is better than where they were, they get a couple of stops early in the games, you end up scoring kind of at will, and you start getting leads. What is that going to end up being? Second half, what you want to try and do is control the clock. Give the other team less opportunities with the football, which means you're going to run more when you have those leads. Whereas last year, we were behind in so many games that you kind of abandoned the run, which meant there were less opportunities because you realized we've got to pass the ball and try and score quickly. That goes into the benefit of Zeke Elliott if you are leading. And you look at some of the teams they're facing, yeah, you're not looking at teams that are going to be quick strike, high-scoring teams. You're not going to see that from the Giants. You're not going to see that necessarily from Washington. Maybe more so from Washington than you will with Philadelphia and the Giants. But we play a lot of poor offenses, in which case you're going to run the ball, to take up the clock and give them less chances and just win the game. The other thing, the offensive line is going to be better. Even if you lose Tyron Smith and Lyle Collins, you have more experience because of what happened last year in that offensive line. Tyler Badish will be playing his second season. Definitely should be better. You've got other guys. Connor Williams is going to be, slowly but surely has been playing really steady. You got a guy like Connor McGovern. You've got, we brought him in from former Washington. Tyler, what is his name? Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. But we have better depth-wise on the offensive line. Also, too, Zeke isn't having COVID before he gets there. But I know what you're saying. But look at Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's a beast. Yeah, but there's an interesting thing that happens when running backs have that 2,000-yard season. Because he had a 2,000-yard season last year. You might not have realized that, but he did. The only one that's had 2,000-yard seasons, I want to say, is Barry Sanders and maybe Eric Dickerson. I got to go back and look at it. But for the most part, those will be the exception as opposed to the rule. Because when guys hit 2,000 yards or have those mega seasons, those mega carry seasons, they're not the same. More times than not, they drop big time. And so when you look at the rushers out there, you had, boom, Derrick Henry at 2,000 yards. The next closest was Dalvin Cook at 1,500. So you're not talking about needing to have a 2,000-yard season per se. I could be wrong. Could be that Derrick Henry, is going to be the exception as opposed to the rule and comes back with another 2,000-yard season. But I wouldn't put money on that. So is it possible for Zeke Elliott to rebound? Quite certainly. Is it possible that he could, with this offense, be there? Yes. And the other part I'll put on this as far as Zeke Elliott, in the same way, the wide receivers benefit from having a great running game where they put 8 men in the box. This could be one of those situations where we use the pass to set up the run. If you're a defensive coordinator, if you're worried now about Michael Gallup on the outside, CeeDee Lamb in the slot, Amari Cooper as the number one, and then a Blake Jarwin, you can't put 8 men in the box. Because that means you got single coverage on those guys. The Cowboys will be happy to take that all day long. So it's a pick your poison type of an offense. You're going to have to figure out which way is this offense going to kill you. We're going to let Zeke, who at least will be smaller runs, or do we let Amari Cooper or CeeDee Lamb or guys that can take it to the house in one play? It's just bad news all the way around if you're a defensive coordinator. So that's what I got. Now back to my storytelling. And I've got to find a home for this. I got my babies here. The water is clearing up nicely. In fact, check this out, okay? This is not a mechanical filtered fish pond. This is filtered actually by the plants. The plants do all the work. I put, water lily over in here, but I've got water lilies and, irises and things that are in the water. Those plants keep this pond clean. Now there is a leaf strainer over there, but it's not like a mechanical filter. Now check this out. Now, it's not crystal clear yet, but considering that it still has leaves and stuff in there, it's actually getting pretty clear. It'll get a lot clearer than that. So let me say thank you. My man Daniel Hernandez, who's in the military, you've seen Daniel over here. Today's his retirement day. Shout out to you, Daniel. Thank you for all you do. Today is not the day for you, although every day should be for all of you that have been veterans. Every day should be a Veterans Day. But today is Memorial Day for the day for those who did the ultimate sacrifice. The reason that I can sit here and broadcast to you is a direct thank you to all of those who have served, protected, and kept up our American way of life. Thank you. But today's the day that we say thank you and remember those who did give that ultimate sacrifice. And I, of course, today went to see my brother, first time since his funeral. And this is what was crazy for me, is I've got this rock. Okay? I don't know if you can see it, and maybe I'm just crazy and seeing something that maybe is not there. This rock was sticking up out of the ground on my brother's gravesite. Just the point of it, just like this much of it. And I said to myself, I'm going to take this rock and I'm going to put it in my fish pond to remind me of my brother. And so I dug the soil around it and I started turning it side to side. It's bigger rock than I thought. I thought it was just a small rock. But when I pulled this rock up, something magical happened. To me, the shape, the way this rock is flat right here, and then I've got these curves and the point right here. This, to me, looks like a port shoulder. I can't smoke it though. It's too big to smoke. But to me, it honestly, but look, that looks like a cut. That would be where the bone would come out. It's heavy too. I pulled this out of the ground and I picked it up and I looked at it and it said pork shoulder or ham. And that's significant to me because my brother would butcher his own hogs. My brother was truly a modern day Grizzly Adams, for those of you know who Grizzly Adams was. Living off the land and taking what Mother Nature had and making it work for him and being one with Mother Nature. But when I saw this, it immediately looked and reminded me of my brother because the last time I saw my brother healthy, he had come by my house and he brought me a couple of pork shoulders for me to smoke. So I don't know. Maybe it's just a coincidence. Maybe it's a fabrication in my mind where I think it looks like a pork shoulder. Maybe it's my way of dealing with the situation. But I honestly dropped to my knees, laughed and cried at the same time because I felt like this was him talking to me. So now I have to find the perfect spot here on the fish pond because it's significant because of how much he loved the water. So I'm going to be figuring that out sometime. It may be all over the place, but it'll truly stand out. So friends, say thank you and remember the ones that aren't here on this Memorial Day. And hopefully the ones that say I'm only here for Cowboys and not the other junk I put out there, hopefully this will let you at least leave, I guess, after you hear my stuff about the Cowboys. And those who want to hear it, you get it too. I'm Mark Holmes, and I'll see you soon.